It is exactly 8:35 a.m., and I have the honor of interacting with royalty this morning. We will be talking with a commissioner at the Commission for Gender Equality, and that is you, Her Royal Highness, Princess Eurika Mogane.
Oh,
Welcome. Good morning to you. How do I refer to you throughout the interview? Can I refer to you as Eurika? Is that acceptable?
good morning, morning. Yes, it's definitely acceptable. You can just say Mohadi or Mohane.
Mohadi,
Please do
that's your other name.
Mohadi. It sums it up brilliantly.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we do appreciate the time that you're giving us this morning to talk about, obviously, a very,
Mm,
very serious matter, and that is the issue around gender equality, and very especially, with our new dispensation being just over 30 years old, we
mm,
find that women's political representation has been declining.
mm.
And this in light of the fact that we are eyeing the 2026 elections. What do you suppose has gone wrong here, and how is this going to be fixed? Do we depend on our male counterparts to make space for more women, or is it something that we as women need to take on ourselves?
Julie, that's very, I'm grateful for this question because it's reflective on, first of all, the parties themselves. Having to meet this gender status quo is basically a voluntary party mechanism. So it's not enforceable by law. And we as a commission are the ones actually advocating that perhaps for the IEC it should be something that is enforceable. Other than that, though, we also gave this challenge when I addressed the Women's Caucus Party that, listen, as women in your respective parties, are you comfortable to ask the necessary questions as to why isn't this a particular female leader appointed for certain roles? Because if you look at right now, National Assembly has decreased to 43%. And you ask yourself, is this a lack of understanding of women's leadership roles, or is it women's leadership competency that is being questioned? So there's a lot of concerns, and it's quite concerning because if we look back in the year 1956, Julie, we had 20,000 women coming together regardless of their backgrounds, and they marched in unison to say, listen, we are taking a stand as women against these dumb bosses, against these limitations of movements. And here we are 70 years later, and women are not in the forefront. When they sparked that debate, when they spark the debate of what happens within society itself. So it's very key for us to address these matters. And I'm hoping
Okay, I've just lost you there. I think Mohadi was trying to fix her device, and we seem to have lost her. Let's take a quick break and allow her to try and reposition or reconnect, and then we can continue with this important interview. I've just seen her back online again. Let's see what our technical producer is saying to me. Is she there? No, she's not. Okay, let's take a short break, and we'll be back in a minute or two.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
I want to mention a specific thing, and this struck me as quite remarkable. On my first trip that I took to Palestine, it was 2012, and I learned there that in
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back, and I do think that we've managed to reconnect with Her Royal Highness Princess Eurika Mogane, Commissioner at the CGE. And Mogane, thank you for reconnecting. Lovely to have you back. Do you want to continue? Your train of thought just before we lost you?
Yes, please. Yes, please. As I was saying that, it's very key for us to understand where political parties are at this moment in time. Hence, I'm saying for us with this report, it was a matter of introspection. And for the women within these parties to ask themselves, are we really being recognized? Is our voice being heard? Or is it just another tick a box that we have met this number of members? So it's more administrative and not leadership in itself. So it's very key for us because now we have noted this pattern where there's this undermining of leadership competency within women themselves. Hence, we are encouraging and we are hoping that the IEC will start advocating as well on their side that, this becomes more enforceable and not a voluntary mechanism, that there needs to be sufficient women leadership. But there's a lot that we can discuss. I mean, there's a lot of gaps within the law itself when it comes to enforcing the quota. And we are hoping that it's not just another tick the box, but it's a matter of understanding. Can women lead? Yes, definitely they can. Hence, I had to reference 1956 March. It's something we need to reflect on and ask yourself, 70 years later, what was the aim? Oh, yes.
Okay, so we have local elections around the corner. It's happening in November. You also indicated that we need more representation. What I worry about is, do you think that the political parties might up the presence of women in their different structures, just as window dressing, to probably garner more votes? And that is a reality. How do you respond to something like that? We want it to be real, we want it to be meaningful, and we want these women in the different parties to be women of power, women of substance, women that will and can make a difference, and they should be there on as permanent a basis as they possibly can, because only then will we see marked change, not only in the parties, but the country as a whole.
That is very profound and very true to reflect on, Julie, because at the end of the day, we also always speak about as a commission that if you want to address women issues within society themselves, you need women in the forefront who are lived experience, individuals for those who can combat and advocate for them because they are in part and parcel of it. One thing that we have noted as well, that it's a concern that we always have women who are put up as just a front. You are just the face. Hence, I had to emphasize and ask, are they making an impact? Is their voice being heard? And what we have noted that, or challenge we have also given out to the people themselves, is to also, because you are a member of your party, which means that you have a right to ask the necessary questions. You have a right to do the follow-ups as to what happened to Mogane. She was on the ballot paper. She was here leading. Why isn't she leading right now? Where's her voice? Where has she been silenced? So those are the questions that I believe members need to themselves also start asking post-elections. Because what we do with our reports, we go in and we investigate pre the elections, as we are right now, during the elections, and post-elections. So there is accountability that takes place even after the elections themselves. So if a Mogane was just a front, it will be investigated. It will be acknowledged that it's also published for the public to note and see and also follow up on, because those individuals have that right. It's quite concerning and undermining if that is the approach that they have, just to garner more votes and then eventually just discard or garner or just put someone to the side. Because at the end of the day, we want to be as progressive as possible. But if that is their approach, then it means that they're undermining the people, they're undermining the very members themselves. So I think for us, it's a wake-up call, because I even addressed the multi-party women's caucus party that, it's a wake-up call for them as well as women within these various political parties. Are they really a representation? Are they really leadership within that space? Or are they just, it's all about tokenism? Something very profound to reflect on.
So, Mogane, the other all-important question is, we may have women in these leadership roles, whether they're there for window dressing, whether they're genuinely because they have the right qualifications to be there and they can serve, the community and their parties equally well. But in a lot of spaces in the corporate world as well, I'm not quite sure how it plays out in the political sphere, but there is disparity as far as fair compensation. They still not being paid accordingly. They're not being paid equally to their male counterparts. Are you finding lots of that landing up at the commission, and how are you addressing it?
Julie, we are finding that a lot, and I'm grateful because you touched even on private sector itself. At this moment in time, we're even investigating. We are going to actually have a conversation even with the SAFA, South African Football Association, because we are noting that even in the sports fraternity, medical fraternities. We need to entertainment itself as well. We've got artists to come and complain. So in as much as we get these complaints, we ensure that we do the necessary processes, due diligence, so that once we address the matters, it's not just focusing maybe in just Mpumalanga itself, but it becomes a national discussion. Gender pay or gender parity has been an issue for a while. And we are at this moment in time as a commission definitely advocating for that equality that is required. And we have seen and noted that at times they'd want to equate or bring in that motherhood penalty. You know how in corporates they come up and say, our bottom line, it's all about our bottom line. And if Mogane gets pregnant within the next few months, we will lose maybe control of that bottom line. And that is where we come back and say, what are the values in this institution? What are the values in this political party? What are the values in this company or in these associations? Because if you are going to undermine a human right, basic needs, that you're able to compensate them and meet their needs because they've done the work and they are more than capable. Hence, I started off with a statement that, you know what, leadership competency is often undermined in women. And it comes back to these factors like, as you mentioned right now, as we're talking about right now, the motherhood penalty. Let's also talk about the backgrounds, where you're from, the culture that you might represent. It's very key for us to be honest and open about these discussions. The same applies within politics themselves. Are you favored enough? Are you popular enough within this party? Who do you know? Which clique are you in? So it's very, very, very discouraging at times for women to pursue leadership roles because they come back and say, but what's in it for me? What do I compromise? Do I lose my mental health? Do I have to now undermine my hope of building a family? What is in it for them at the end of the day? That's what they ask. But gender parity is what we are definitely looking into as a commission with stern for speed as well. Thank you, Julie.
Okay, we need to wrap up now, Mogane, but before we do, your message to men and women listening in this morning, how do we broach this issue? And we talked about the parity between men and women in corporate. Probably in the political spheres, it doesn't raise its head. Women probably are treated equally in political spheres, political parties, in government, etc. But I think the one concern a lot of women have, very especially in the corporate world, is victimization. So if I raise the issue with you as a commissioner at the CGE, I'm going to be victimized, and then within time, I'm going to be constructively dismissed. They'll make my life so miserable that I'll have no option but to leave. So those are very real issues, and I think lots of women face that. What is your advice to those women? How do they then move forward? They still need to retain their jobs because we know what the job situation's like, the employment situation in South Africa. So you hold on to what you have, probably at the price of being victimized.
Oh, Julie, I'll answer. You asked two parts. So the first question you asked is, what do I say to the men and women? First of all, a statement I love to say, and I'll reiterate it over and over again until people see me and say, this is what we know her for. But an understanding that the rise of women does not mean the fall of men. I'll repeat it. The rise of women does not in any way mean the fall of men. That is not what gender equality is about. We're not here to get even. We're not here to take over. It's about being able to bring a balance within society because we understand the weight that is on the shoulders of those who are already in leadership. Hence, women are stepping in. Hence, women are decided to sacrifice being mothers so that they can step in the corporate role to build the economy. So it's very key for men and women to understand the background as to why there's this new ambition, new drive for women to be in leadership. And for those women who have been victimized, who have been intimidated, who have had to experience quid pro quo, that listen, if you are here in this position, Mogane, you will sleep your way through. All of those individuals who have felt like, I've tried to go to HR, but HR is buddies or friends with this person and I cannot get help. We are here as a commission. There's a place where you can go to and lodge a complaint. If you follow due diligence and necessary processes and are still being undermined and intimidated, and you can see that you're being constructively dismissed, reach out to us as a commission. When the system is broken, there is a place to go. And we as Chapter 9 institutions are here as guardians of the Constitution to take a stand for you. We investigate individuals, private or public. We take a stand for our people. At the end of the day, it's about your human right. You cannot be undermined. You cannot be bullied and also intimidated in a workplace where you work hard to be in. We are here to ensure that your voice is heard, you are protected. Above all else, you get the justice you deserve. Chapter 9 institutions, that's what we are here for. Thank you, Julie.
Her Royal Highness Princess Eurika Mogane, thank you indeed for your insights on this very volatile issue. And we are talking about, obviously, women's political representation declines as South Africa eyes the 2026 elections. But it's more than that. It goes beyond the political sphere. And I'm glad we touched on those issues. You are the Commissioner of the CGE. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. God bless and go well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. God bless. Thank you.
8:50 exactly. This is News and Views on Salam Media. Moving along, please stay with us. Lots more interesting discussions coming your way.